National Skill Development Corporation. National Skill Development Corporation is a public-private partnership where Government of India controls 49% of the equity of National Skill Development Corporation and 51% is owned by private sector. So as Dr. Vatsa was talking about that the problems of public sector and private sector are very different from each other, but that was a thought with which the government created this organization, and the governance structure of the organization was thought that how do we bring the perspective from both government and also private sector. So if you see, the board of NSDC is majority owned by private sector. Out of 15 board members, 9 are from the private sector and 6 are from the government sector. But the chairman is nominated by the government and the MD and CEO is appointed by the board of NSDC. NSDC has also created 36 sector skill councils, and NASSCOM is one of them, where the idea is that the skilling initiative would need a lot of industry context. And while NSDC is a public-private partnership, the sector skill councils are entirely private sector-led bodies. These are quasi-government in nature, where the board of the sector skill councils are governed by the industry leaders, and there is a management team which brings the perspective from that sector to the government from the perspective of creating programs and schemes for skilling. Now, today you hear a lot about skilling, not only in India, but also abroad. You might have heard the speech of the Honorable Finance Minister, where Government of India has launched skilling programs up to 2.5 lakh crore. The government is investing up to 2.5 lakh crore in skilling alone. But the movement of skilling is not India alone. Post-COVID, the World Economic Forum constituted a committee, and it found that 50% of every worker in the workforce needs to be reskilled, upskilled. And why is it so? Because post-COVID, the world learned a very different way of organizing itself. Today we hear a lot about strategic conflicts happening all across the globe. The world is decoupling fast. There are trade wars going all over the place. So all of us feel that the world is splintering apart. But on the other hand, if we see, the world is getting very tightly integrated in the cyber world. All organizations have learned how to operate in a hybrid digital physical world, and how do you transcend. And in that context, many times when people talk about cyber security or information security or data security, the first thought that goes to our mind is a thought of a fear. That is this something to be afraid of, and we all have to gear for something is coming at us, and we have to prevent ourselves from that threat. But at NSDC, what we believe in is that the truly great organizations convert a distress into an opportunity. If you see our export performance, our services exports are growing much faster than the merchandise goods export. And the largest proportion of the services export is virtual services, services delivered over digital platforms. As you would all know, and you keep on hearing that India is a young country, we have a demographic dividend. I just want to give you a size of opportunity. Our Honorable Prime Minister has laid this vision in front of us that by 2047, India should be a developed country, a Viksit Bharat. And where from that opportunity will come? World will add 100 crore new workers in the workforce by 2047, the 100th year of our independence. And believe me not, every fourth worker in this incremental workforce of 100 crore will be an Indian. And if the largest value that the world will deliver together as a global economy will be delivered over digital workspaces, then we can understand what the opportunity size it is all about. A little bit of math shows that if we continue to grow at 7% real, we'll be a $35 trillion economy by 2047. Which will mean that our per capita GDP will be around $25,000. Today we are at about $2,750. We took 75 years to grow from $250 to $2,500. We have to grow from $2,500 to $25,000 in next 20-25 years. But what I want to say is that if every fourth worker in the global workforce is going to be an Indian, our claim is not on the GDP of India. Our claim is on global GDP. Every fourth dollar of value created anywhere in the world will be through an Indian hand. And a large proportion of this will come from digitally delivered services and value proposition. That means that I want to look at this emerging digitally integrated global world opportunity as an opportunity for India. And today, over last 3-4 years, as a country we have done humongous reforms. Our National Education Policy 2020 has created a framework which creates an infrastructure of reskilling, upskilling in this country, which no country has done ever before. Many of you would not be aware that as per National Education Policy, our higher education has become a credit-based education. It's a choice-based credit education. In our times, we had a time-based education. If you have to do an engineering, you have to spend 4 years in college. If you have to do a BSc, you have to spend 3 years in college. Now it has all got converted into a credits, that to achieve certain credits, you will get a degree or diploma or postgraduate depending upon the credits that you have accrued to yourself. Many of you would say that we are already out of colleges. How is it relevant for us? It is relevant for us. Because the National Credit Framework has recognized that learning happens all the time at all places. All of us know in this room know that we might have learnt a lot during our education days, but our greatest learning lessons have happened at the workplace. And that is why National Credit Framework says that you can accrue your credit by enrolling into an educational program or by enrolling yourself into a skill-based training program. And the third dimension, which is unique here, it says that while at the workplace, you learn a lot. And that's a third axis of the credit, that you can not only accrue credits in your educational courses, you can earn credits through a structured training program, but you can also earn credits by experience that you acquire at the workplace. And how that can be done? There is a framework which calls recognition of prior learning. All of us learn a lot when we are performing at our in a work role. We can appear for an assessment. Until now we have learned, there is the learning can happen, you learn and you get assessed and you get a diploma or degree for that. Now we have opened a framework where you can come and claim that I have seen this curriculum. A portion of this curriculum constitutes about 5 credit. I have learned this while working on my job. And how do you prove it? You appear for assessment and you get credits for that. That has a potential that you don't have to take a sabbatical now. And also the corporate L&Ds, which today even the HR L&D people struggle, that how do I convince our employees to devote their hours, can actually be converted into an academic outcome for all of us. And just like you have an Aadhaar ID, the government of India has created an APAR ID. APAR ID is your ID for lifetime. From a child who gets admission into preschool today will get an APAR ID, you can also get an APAR ID, and this APAR ID will continue with you for all your life. And you can continue to claim credits of learning that whether you do it in your schools or colleges or at a training school or in your corporate L&D program, or just by learning at the workplaces. Now, if this is the framework that is available to us, I now say that the whole concept of retention, reskilling, upskilling for corporate sector can be structured around this. And as I talked about that the world is digitizing fast, we all keep hearing that AI is here, AI will be doing many a task that we have been doing until now. The information security and cyber security will play an extremely important role, because today we may all talk about that our data is being stolen by the large companies and things like that, but all of us know that we are also part of it. Because of lot of convenience, we just check boxes that I have read all these things and this thing. But believe me, the way our personal life's data is being collected by organizations, our workplaces also are getting digitized, they are interconnected, and we will have lots of bots who will be working as co-workers with us. Because of generative AI, the companies will definitely create your cyber replicas, because people, when they leave, you have institutional knowledge gaps, etc. So this is a new emerging world, and every one of us, whether we are in the industry of cyber security or not, whatever our job roles are, we all have to reskill, upskill to understand the cyber security context. And that is why we say that the architecture that we are trying to build is based on 3 foundations: cyber security for all, cyber security for many, cyber security for few. Cyber security for all, everybody needs to be aware of the cyber security aspects of their interaction with digital platforms. We hear digital arrest and all sorts of cyber fraud going around us. That means that every single individual in this country has to be skilled to understand the basic tenets of cyber security, because that has become an integral part of our lives. So that's a cyber security for all. Then there will be cyber security professionals who will be hired by companies, because our businesses have become digital, and the moment a business becomes digital, the moment a business becomes interconnected, you have to bring cyber security into it. Few years ago, very few companies were talking about being digital. COVID taught that nobody can escape being digital. If your business is not digital, you will miss big time. The moment you decide that your business is having a digital dimension to it, you have to bring cyber security into it. That means that companies will not only reskill, upskill their every role holder in their organizations, but they will also have to have cyber security professionals who will take care of the threats that are emerging there and the opportunities that emerge from it. And cyber security for few is for the people who will be at the frontier of innovation. How do you create expert cybersecurity experts who can provide these services to the entire world? And with our large young population, and India is perhaps the only country in the world where the inclusion agenda has been very successfully led. Today, almost 50% of our students in STEM are women, and that we should be very proud of. That gives us an opportunity that we can truly create a workforce of cyber experts who can provide the cyber security and information security to the entire world, and that's a cyber security for few. So I have laid this architecture in front of you, that how you can make use of the country's education and skill architecture, how you can look at cyber security as an opportunity for yourself, because many companies, every company has a risk department, and some companies take a very conservative view of an emerging risk. Some companies take a very different view of this, and depending upon what view you take, it creates an opportunity or threat for you. So as a company, you can create opportunities for you. And many of you, if you build expertise into your own, in yourself or within your companies, you can actually tap the global opportunities around that. And that is why this whole agenda of reskilling, upskilling India for this emerging digital world, where all businesses will be interconnected and digitalized, is an agenda for all of us. The greatest companies will be built who master this, and at NSDC we are very excited about it. We would definitely like to work. I know that you are the professionals from this space. We would like to work with you, so that how can we take it forward, which is value creative for you as a professional, and for your companies as business leaders indeed. Thank you so much.